Hello to all of my AP Human Geographers, or people that are just in the class. My name is Miss Albahay, or Miss A, and I've been teaching this course for over 15 years. I don't want to go ahead and reveal my age to everybody here, but it's been at least 15 years that I've taught this course. I teach it and I also tutor. So I figured what I wanted to do is I noticed throughout the years that many people come into the course, both teachers and students, not really sure of what they're going to need in order to succeed in the class. So I figured I'd do a very short, brief introductory video of not just what is AP Human Geography or human geography in general, but what do you need in order to really succeed in this class, in order to get the most out of it, the best out of it, and hopefully some college credit at the end. So let's go ahead and we'll dive right in. What is human geography? So what you're seeing on this screen right here is my website. You can get here one of two ways. You can just go to humangeographytutor.com and it will forward you to this website, or you can just type in the address, which is Albahay, ALBAHAE, then the letters aphg.wordpress.com. I'll just link it below in this video. So here's a little bit about the course. The course of geography for human geography is actually broken down into 7 different units. The first unit, and you can kind of see the tabs at the top of this page here. So unit 1 is just your basic introductory geography stuff. Like, what are maps? And most of us have seen a map before, but do all you guys know that no map is absolutely perfect? That every single map that you will ever look at is distorted or untrue in some way, shape, or form. And there is a basic reason for that. And the reason is you can't put a 3D object like a globe or the earth flat onto a sheet of paper. It's almost like trying to take an orange and peel it, and then take the orange peel and make it a either square or rectangle flat, and it just won't work. So cartographers have a really important job, and cartographers are map makers, in order to try and figure out ways to make maps that are readable and usable with as little distortion as possible. So in Unit 1, we basically go through, all the introductory stuff. What are maps? How do you use them? Which ones are more distorted than others? Things like that. And then once we're done with the basic introductory stuff into human geography, we then go on to the other units in the course. Unit 2 is usually population and migration. This is where we learn all about where people are, population policies, for those of you that have ever heard of the one-child policy. What are some issues that happen if a country puts a one-child policy on, like China did in the 1970s, and it slowed down population growth, but now they're having trouble actually having kids. So if that happens, who's going to be there for the country? So we take a look at population policies, refugees, internally displaced peoples. It is probably the first unit of the course that will be extremely relatable, where you're going to be able to see human geography all around you guys. Once you get into Unit 3 is just culture. So culture is a lot of different things. Culture is not just your nationality or your ethnicity or your race or gender identity, anything like that. There are so many things that encompass what culture actually is. Some of the stuff that we focus on in this course are going to be language, popular culture, folk culture, indigenous cultures, eradication of certain indigenous cultures and how that ends up happening with globalization, the interconnectedness of the world, religions and how religions spread throughout the world, and different ethnic groups and how people get along. So the culture unit is actually one of the most probably longest units that we tend to go through, because it does have a lot of information in it, but it's really wonderful and really fun. Then when you get to Unit 4 is one of the most applicable as far as things that you're going to be able to see and understand. Unit 4 is political geography. This is it's literally geopolitics. It is what is going on around the world. What is a country? What are people that live in areas that don't identify as being part of that country? For example, if you're somebody that is from Ukraine, but you had to leave because of the war and you're a refugee living in a nearby country, how do you get that refugee status? Who's to say what countries you can go to? All of that stuff will go into political geography. It's actually one of my favorite things to teach, and I think it will be one of yours as well. The news is very, very helpful, and staying up to date on current events is very, very helpful for this unit. For Unit 5, it goes into something called agriculture and rural land use, where we talk a little bit about probably the most important thing on the planet, and that is the #1 way that people everywhere interact with their environment, and that is through farming. for better or for worse. So the number one way which people are basically interacting with the environment on a daily basis is via farming, agriculture. So we do a whole unit on agriculture and how land is used in rural areas. Then it kind of depends on the teacher as far as like the order of the units, but what I teach is as Unit 6, I do industry and economic development. So basically I'm looking at the Industrial Revolution and how did that, impact the world that we are living in today, the fast-paced, growing, modernizing world that you guys are now living through. And then once we get to Unit 7, that is the last and final unit of the course, and this is where we go over things like urbanization, cities. Why are cities located where they are? What do cities in generally look like? How come cities in the United States differ so much from cities elsewhere around the world, especially for those of you that have been to European countries or any kind of country where it's walkable? Like you can walk or it has good public transportation. For a lot of us, especially those of us located here where I am in South Florida, getting some kind of good public transportation can be a really, really hard task. So it's kind of looking at how cities are laid out in urban planning, and you'll be able to see everything that we teach right in front of your eyes. So those are the 7 units of the course, and then I'm going to show you a little bit more about how you can get vocab words and information about each of the units and what they contain.